Hello fragrance family, welcome to Fragrance Therapy. I'm your host Alam. So at this point I have all 10 of Aromatix French Avenue fragrances. And at this point it does look like they're in between releases. So I thought this is as good a time as any to rank the entire line from my least to most favorite. With that said, let's jump in. So some of Aromatix fragrances feel more like clones than others, but usually even if they are inspired by something, they come with a pretty good twist. But let's start with my number 10, and that is Xandal. And this is a twist on Lorenzo Pizzaglia's Vampirum. This thing is a dense, boozy, hyper gourmand like vanilla chocolate fragrance. It is dark, it is thick, and in my opinion, there's nothing really balancing it out. They added this strong chocolate note that I don't think was present in the OG with chocolate truffle. Along with that chocolate, you also get 3 types of vanilla: Madagascar, bourbon, vanilla caviar, and a strong, boozy rum and patchouli. One thing definitely has going for it is performance. This thing lasts 9+ hours on skin, very strong projection, can be quite loud for the first 3 hours. That would be awesome if I actually liked this thing. Look, I love vanilla fragrances, but I'm on record to say I'm not a big fan of chocolate fragrances. And when you mix that chocolate with this intensely strong, boozy rum, it makes me just feel nauseous. This was an instant no for me as soon as I got it. I thought maybe it would change with this testing, but that didn't happen. If anything, I think I kind of like it even less. Next up at number 9, I have Naughty Dates, and I'm not sure if this is inspired by anything. Some people say it's a twist on Lush Sticky Dates. I don't know, and honestly, I don't care enough to go and find out. According to Aromatix, he was inspired by this actual dessert, which is like date pudding, I believe is what he said. At the end of the day, this thing is just a thick, super duper sticky sweet fragrance with this pretty prominent coffee note. And I do like some coffee fragrances, but that sticky sweetness just overtakes the fragrance eventually. Some of the most prominent notes include like dates and honey, cardamom, caramel, along with that coffee. Now, just listening to those notes, you can tell it's gonna be an overly sweet bomb. Now, this is also another one that performs really well. Lasts 8+ hours on skin, strong projection for the first few hours. With this one, at least, I would say there's some quality here. All the notes smell really natural, and of course it does perform like a monster. This one is not a really bad creation if you like super sweet edible dessert style fragrances. I, especially recently, have moved away from those fragrances. So I can see the appeal that people have for this one. It's just not for me. At number 8, we have Forbidden Fruit. And this I know is popular amongst the community, it's just not one that I care for. This is to me as close to a clone as it gets in this line, because this one smells almost identical to Lorenzo Pizzaglia's Sangria. Now there's a lot going on here. It is a boozy fruit punch or like Sangria inspired scent. To me it starts off more citrusy fresh, but then it quickly transitions into this sugary, syrupy sweet boozy scent profile. Some of the most prominent notes are blood orange, red apple, peach, this margarita accord, and then some like soft delicate rose. Another one that the performance is good, but though it's not at quite the level of the other two. Lasts roughly around 7 hours, strong projection for the first few hours. Now on paper I thought I would have liked this one, but it turns out I'm just not a fan of this DNA. I have smelt the OG. I have another inspired by version from Arabia. I think it's like Bahia Ruby, I think is the one. And now this one, I'm not a fan of any of them, so it's just that syrupy sweet DNA that makes it sickly sweet that I just don't like. I like the way it smells for the first 10 to 15 minutes, then it becomes headache inducing for me. So I got the ones that I'm not big fans of out of the way. The rest from here on, I like all of them to varying degrees. But at number 7, we have Royal Taboo, and this is a twist on Creed Centaurus. This is a spicy, ambery tobacco scent. I think it is the darkest, most masculine fragrance on this entire list. I think this and the OG both feature a pretty healthy dose of warm spices. But I think in the original Creed, the cinnamon in that one is like candy-like. Like think like the Red Hot type of candies, cinnamon candies. That's what I get. And here I get a more natural smelling cinnamon. Also in this one, I think they dosed up the tobacco. It's much more noticeable when you compare it to Centaurus. Prominent notes include cinnamon, tobacco, cardamom, benzoin with tonka bean. Performance is also good on this one, though not quite as good as Xandal and Naughty Dates. Slight step down, you're gonna get max 8 hours with a little bit of overspring. Projection is good, but it's not overbearing. I would say this is the most mature scent in the entire lineup. Not for everyone, especially I think the younger crowds, they might not like how dense and deep and dark it is. Also, all the other fragrances in this line, I would call unisex. This is definitely the most masculine of the entire line. I think in this case, most women would say they enjoy smelling it on men, but probably not on themselves. But this thing is awesome for mature folks looking for something like a formal event or date night fragrance. At the number 6 spot, we have Magnetiq, and this fragrance is going to remind you of some really popular niche and designer fragrances. Think like Homage Reflection Man, YSL Myself, Gucci Guilty Elixir. All those fragrances, including this, give off this elevated clean laundry vibe, also have some blue fragrance aspects to it. It's soapy, it's aromatic, slightly sweet with this vanillic dry down. This thing, in my opinion, is super mass appealing. It's going to get you a ton of compliments. It's just something that's really easy to wear. Some of the most prominent notes include neroli and orange blossom, signature for those clean laundry type fragrances. You also get rosemary, lavender, iris, and that vanilla and the dry down. I would say performance is good for these type of fragrances. 7.5 hours of longevity. Good solid projection for the first couple of hours without being like overbearing. Now this type of scent profile is all the rage nowadays. Nothing smells cleaner, more put together than this kind of DNA. My biggest complaint, it's a minor one, is that Neeb really didn't do anything different with this one. There was no big twist. I was hoping for Aromatix to put a nice big twist on it to put a signature to this. Instead, this is just a really good, high quality version of that type of scent DNA. Now the next two are, in my opinion, they're awesome. I love both of them. They would have been higher if not for one significant issue with both of them, and that's performance. At number 5 though, we have Tease Me, and this one recently leapfrogged over Magnetiq. I'll get to the reason in a moment, but let's first get into this fragrance profile. Some people say it's inspired by Nishane's Wulong Cha. I have that fragrance. I don't think so. I think both of them feature like a heavy focus on tea notes, but that's like about it. Definitely do both take that tea note, but in my opinion, they go in a little bit different directions. To me, this thing is sophisticated, aromatic tea fragrance. It is so incredibly fresh and invigorating to me. Also perfectly balances that citrus with the herbal notes. Some prominent notes, of course, include that black tea, lime, ginger, cardamom. You get some aromatic florals. Now, I'm a sucker for a good tea fragrance. This thing is right up my alley because when I first reviewed this, I think I said something like this is like the greatest hits of notes for me. And I think this uses those notes beautifully. But my biggest knock when I first got it was performance. It was horrible. I got 5 hours max, did not project well at all. So one thing I'm happy to report, and the reason maybe it leapfrogged over Magnetiq, is that longevity has definitely improved with time. In my current testing, it went from that 5-hour mark to a solid 7 hours. That improved longevity definitely makes it more wearable for me. I think it is something that I will rock in the summer, especially if I want to be low key, because projection is still a major issue with me, at least off of my skin. To me, it just doesn't jump off the skin. It's not something that I've sprayed on and anybody, granted I was doing the testing in winter, but it's one that never really got noticed. Maybe I'm instantly going nose blind. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a more delicate scent profile that just doesn't pop off the skin. Would have been higher if it just projected a little bit more. At number 4, we have Sunkissed, and I absolutely adore this scent profile, but there's a different performance issue that keeps it from being higher. Apparently this thing smells very similar to Maison Margiela's Neverending Summer. Not sure if it is accurate or not because I've smelled that fragrance, but it's been a super long time. What I get with this one is a photorealistic citrus opening that dries down into this creamy aromatic scent. You definitely pick up this shockingly realistic sparkling cream soda that to me, I think it smells awesome. Prominent notes include pomelo, bitter orange, that cream soda accord, and some amber tonic, some black tea and vanilla, also another tea fragrance, so no wonder I like it so much. To me, that citrus and cream soda just pop. There's this fresh, fizzy, yet creamy nature that makes the entire thing super addictive. And if it was just based on scent profile alone, this thing would be towards the top, maybe even my favorite one. But after all these months, this thing has not improved at all in performance. Look, it's in line with a lot of freshies out there. Max, you get 6.5 hours if you overspray a bit. That's what I got in this round of testing. One thing that this has over Tease Me is that it projects much better for the first couple of hours. This is another one that I think is like a classy, delicate scent profile that contributes to the lack of performance, but it by far has the worst longevity on this list. Such a shame because it's such a wonderful scent. I think I'll still definitely rock this in the warmer weather, but it's one that I'm gonna have to like carry a decant around because it's just not gonna last. At number 3, we have the newest release, which is Frostbite. And this is Aromatix take look on a blue fragrance scent profile. Think YSL with this juicy fruit opening. It didn't click with me until somebody said it in the comments on my full review of this one, but this takes that YSL DNA and adds Xandal's Ambassador's opening. That is 100% accurate. A vibrant, fruity, aromatic freshie starts off with this blast of chilled fruits and then transitions into this clean blue scent profile. It adds some balance and longevity with this woody, ambery base. Blueberry, mango really is what gives me that Xandal's Ambassador opening. But you also get some apple and cardamom, tons of aromatic florals and ambergris. You also get this creamy vanilla and sandalwood as it settles. Also, when it comes to like fresher fragrances in his catalog, this one I think is the best performer. Longevity definitely about 8 hours easy. Projects pretty strongly for the first couple of hours. Now this thing is so new and is such a solid performer already. I think as I use this in the summer, it has a chance to move up the more experience I have with this scent profile. At the number 2 spot, we have Carnal Desire. And this is kind of a hybrid fragrance. What you mostly get is Maison Crivelli's Queer Infrarouge, but it also adds this dose of Oud Maracuja. Overall, I think I typically prefer the fresher fragrances in this line, but in my opinion, this is the best cold weather fragrance out of all the ones he's released. This bold raspberry and leather accord found in Queer Infrarouge, and it blends it with this jammy rose and stronger oud note that's found in Oud Maracuja. On paper, it seems like it would be a polarizing mix of this slightly animatic leather dark oud and this unexpected sugary sweetness with cotton candy and raspberry, but somehow I think it just works. Some of the most prominent notes include that raspberry and cotton candy, leather oud, also the slightly metallic saffron. Another awesome performer. I get 9+ hours with this on skin. Strong projection, can easily fill up a room. This is the strongest in the line, I think, on par with Xandal. I initially thought that this was gonna just be too sweet for me. And don't get me wrong, this thing is definitely sweet, but that darker leather and that oud accord really helps balance it out and gives it some masculine edge. And like I said, in my opinion, the best cold weather fragrance in the entire line. And at my number 1 spot still is Platin Blanc, and this thing is inspired by Xerjoff's Torino 21. Now let me tell you, this doesn't happen often, but once in a while, I prefer an inspired by version over the original fragrance. And this is one of those scenarios. My camera just overheated and died, so I don't know where I left off. But I will say that this thing is a mojito in a bottle. It is a hyper fresh herbal and fizzy fragrance. It captures that cooling mint and lime vibe perfectly for the high heat. Of course, along with that mint and lime, you also get lemon. You get some tonic water for that fizziness. There's also that rosemary that enhances that minty accord and some blackcurrant. The main reason that I prefer this to the OG is that the ingredients in this one come off super natural. That lemon lime feels freshly squeezed, but it's the mint that really stands out in this one. Smells like freshly picked mint leaves. A lot of minty fragrances have that artificial nature. Think like mint found in like minty gum. But not here. Super realistic mint. Performance, I would say, is good for a natural smelling freshie. We'll hit that 7.5 hour mark while maintaining that minty freshness even longer than the original Torino 21. Projection is also very good for a fresh fragrance. For the first couple of hours, it'll definitely project. Look, I generally like Aromatix fragrances. What is it? 7 out of the 10 I like. Only the first 3 that I mentioned, they're just not for me. But even with all the new releases that came out in the last couple of months, total of 10 fragrances, I still think Platin Blanc is the best one he's ever done. There you have it, folks. My ranking of all 10 of Aromatix and French Avenue fragrances. Let me know in the comments which is your favorite and how different your ranking is to mine. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps small channels like mine grow. And ultimately, I just want to keep bringing you this type of content. And as always, stay tuned for more honest, affordable fragrance content. Until next time, I'm out.